Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Before I start, I'd just like to thank the WIT group for setting up a little summit here that's, I think, pretty powerful, small but powerful, kind of what, we like to go with. We're Lipari Foods. We're a little smaller company, but we like to present powerful technology. So really appreciate them doing something local here where I can just drive here and just drive back home to my kids and wife. So, kudos to those guys. Joe Beydoun, I will present to you a little bit about supply chain, kind of the successes that we had with some of the technology that we've had. We have been having tremendous growth in our company, and we started off, not too long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, convincing people that we needed a BI department, and to where we are today. So, typically if you're one of those companies that's watching all these other guys, USF Holland, Domino's, billion-dollar companies out there, and wondering how the heck do I even succeed with this stuff when you look back at your team and it's basically you and you're responsible for other things, how do we succeed? How do we solve these problems? And luckily for us, at this age that we are developing technology in, you can see the entire hallway of people there that have products that can help you solve that problem, that have product that can get you the same technology as somebody like Domino's, as somebody like Amazon and Google, and you can sit there and develop rich content for your users. The biggest issue and the biggest struggle is going to be analytics. Do you really know what you're doing? Do you really understand your business? And that's kind of what I'm going to walk through here, what we do, what we solved, and just kind of hopefully get your mind thinking and bring you into the food industry, because we love food. I've done food for many years. Again, I'm the Vice President of Technology at Lipari Foods. My responsibility, not only BI, again, we split responsibilities with smaller companies, but I do manage the entire warehousing and transportation software platform that we use, as well as other things at the company. So, sitting there and solve, and the reason that happened is because I actually worked for the operations department that did the warehousing and transportation, got a lot of that knowledge, and I was developing a ton of the content that they were using to analyze things for them. That got pushed to the entire company, and I got pulled into the corporate structure to develop for the entire company a BI environment, so to speak. We do use information, but this is not a plug for information builders. You have obviously tons of different technologies you can do that with. This is just one of them. And again, when somebody asks me what technology or do you like information builder, I say yes. The information builder solved our core enterprise. So when you're solving your BI infrastructure, one, you have to spend a little bit more than you thought you were going to spend to buy software. But then you want software that solves from A to Z, your entire problem. And once you start solving a lot of those problems, then you can start looking at the tier 1 suppliers out there, maybe a Tableau or Click to attach to it, or maybe a back-end database to help you enhance the environment that you're in. But you do have to solve your core problems. People still run reports every single day in your organization. People still look at Excel sheets. You're not going to get away from that. But anyway, so we heavily invested in information builders. We developed content. We've won visualization contests with them. So with that little team that we have, again. So we've done well with their software. We've leveraged it to the max that it can leverage too, and pushing them even further. What you're going to take away from today, dashboards delivered to the right audience. That's key element. You want to get to the dashboards to the right audience. We're going to focus a little bit on warehouse analytics. I'll start with our supply chain kind of sales structure that we built, but then we're going to focus on warehouse analytics. Big data, again, they're changing this conference's name. As you know, big data is no longer big data, it's just data. The big is gone. The next big terminology in my world and many people's world is IoT. IoT, I think, matters a lot, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. And the key thing here is no guts. I have an email hung up on my desk that says one of our warehouse directors was asking the warehouse manager, are we good? Are we stocked in the warehouse today? Do you think everything is good? And the warehouse manager responded to him and said, I walked the warehouse, everything looks good. Well, the truth is it wasn't. It looked good, but it wasn't good. You really need data. You need visualizations. And when we get into the warehouse, we'll talk about how visualization is no longer a pie chart or a bar chart for the warehouse. You need richer visualizations. Again, I want to push this. I want software that's going to push this dashboard or visualization to everybody on any device. So what we do, we're a multi-channel specialty distributor. We're Lipari Food. So when you walk into a grocery store and you start walking around the corners or the edges of the store, you can buy your deli, your cheeses, your shredded cheeses. Everything on the perimeter of the store is what we do. And now we're getting into the organic aisle, the stuff in the middle and the back corners of the grocery store that you go to. We are always changing. We're adapting. We're growing. So we used to be a food distributor about 5 months ago. And as of that, we've just purchased 2 larger food manufacturers. So now we're cutting cheese, and now we're packaging a lot of product that we do. So we're further eliminating people from the supply chain so we can make more money, basically, because the margins are really tiny in food. This is our current headquarters, 2006 we built it. 2017 we built another facility right across the street, and we've already filled it up, so now we're looking for more facilities. Started, delivering barbecue sauce in 1963. The original Jim Lipari is still a chairman on the board. His son, Tom Lipari, runs the company. So we're family-oriented. What that also means is we don't want to spend money, so it's kind of difficult, as you guys know. The other nice thing, though, is no ROI studies. So you walk in there and you make a case for what you're trying to build, and the CEO takes it in and says, hey, this makes sense. It happens. So ROI studies, and I don't know if you attended the keynote, he said it best. He's like, nobody does ROI anymore. Or you can do it and do it and do it, and then it's really unnecessary work, because at the end of the day, you can't prove out that you need data analytics. It's difficult. As I was explaining, perimeter of the store, so everything around the store and the frozen aisles in the middle where you get your frozen pizza or you get your more specialty products, that's what we're focused on. Data is important in our world. If you go to a store and you see this issue right here, and maybe you don't notice it right away, we do, but you don't want to go in and buy your stir-fry sauce and everything's $3.99 except one of them got priced at $4.19. That's a failure on the data point. So it's critical that we have good data and we manage that data and we cleanse that data. We have a lot of strategic partners because the world of supply chain is more than just the hardware box that you're dealing with. You're dealing with equipment that's moving out in your warehouse. So you want to make partnership with those guys that are running your floor. And all this equipment's gathering data, so we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Supply chain kind of used to be like this. You got raw materials, components, you manufacture, retail, and then you distribute the consumer. Very simple structure. Things are a lot different today, where people got devices, data's going into the consumer makes decisions, those decisions are immediately transferred, back to the store, and then the stores want to get that customer that product as fast as possible, and they want to be, big giants like Amazon. So it turned our world upside down, and the data consumption, the data usage, it's really, it's taken another level where food distribution was a simple model, like an ancient model, basically, so to speak. You bring food together and you push it out to who needs it. To now you got to consume all this data to get the right product to the right person at the right time. Again, we report in all the different ways we talked about. We still use Excel, a lot of it, but we do have dashboards. Whenever we see reports that are getting repeatable or we find a business area that could use a dashboard, we go after it and we try to solve it that way. And at the end there I have 3D applications. So we are building future applications to solve BI problems as well. When it comes to building business intelligence, you don't want to get into a software that doesn't solve this problem. You don't ever want to get into it can't report it on Firefox or Safari. You want this headache gone from you. So when you're shopping for BI tools, again, make sure they can solve this problem for you, because this headache shouldn't belong in your BI department. Same as the platform headache. I don't care what device you use, we need to be able to report against it. Size of screen, and whatever Apple comes up with next, you have to be able to resolve that, whether people want it on their watch. And I can't believe Safari is not on the watch yet. I don't know if that's true yet, but I bought a watch earlier and it didn't have it. So hopefully the new generations do, because I want to be on that golf course and I want to know how much sales I have if I met my target. The difference with dashboards today, we talk dashboards, become just a regular term because everybody has them. And the problem with that is is the people in your organization that you expect to make decisions for your customer and to drive sales and drive efficiencies, they're seeing the applications and everything they consume at home. So it's no longer, oh, I got you this great application to use at work. The application you're providing them at work is almost less impressive than what they have on their fridge, or what they have on their Fitbit, or what the gas company shows them. So everybody in your organization today is used to consuming a dashboard or consuming an app that solves their data needs. So what's happening now is really they already expect to see data and to solve their problem with data, and they come to work and they see that you haven't solved, you haven't given it to them in that fashion, ease of use, or ease of where they can use their regular technology. So you have to catch up to what they're experiencing in the market, which I think is a little bit of a flip. Maybe about 10, 15 years ago, it was a little bit different. I'm going to start with, how we solved the sales dashboard, kind of the steps that we took for the guys that just, how we got into a problem and we solved it with business intelligence. But CEO walks up to my office, says, hey, I need, everybody walks into the boardroom, everybody has a different report, they're all different. How many cases did we ship? How much sales did we have? Did they hit their target? Everybody has different numbers of what happens, and they all go back to the finances at the end of the year. Maybe they hit it, maybe they didn't. They don't know the detail of what happened. So that's the problem that we wanted to solve. So he came to us, and we've attended all these nice conferences, so we thought, hey, man, we'll give him this cool dashboard, couple boxes. It shows numbers, it shows, and this is not the actual model. We had something even cooler than this, but I can't show it to you because of the data. But anyway, so we built it really quick in the lab. We got all these new tools, built it, put it together, and handed it out. And he says, what is this? I see I hit my target, but it's not giving me any further detail. I need to see it all, and I need to consume it all as quickly as possible. So basically what they really wanted was a flask like this that can answer all the questions in a single cup, single version, and I can consume it all in one big gulp. So then we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, so the cool stuff everybody's showing is not solving my business problem. We got to do more. We got to understand our consumer. We got to understand our business. So we went back to and challenged the data portion of it, and we found a lot of problems again in the data. So we started realizing what is actually the definition of sales. What is the definition of cost? What is the definition of margin? So we went back to the drawing board and started defining our data to say, this is how we're going to measure margin. This is how we're going to measure sales across the entire organization, not just for one person. So that's kind of when we went, and we were new to this. 4 years ago, we didn't even know what ETL meant. We just thought it was a bunch of squiggly lines that people put on a screen. So we dug into it, and we kind of learned it, and we brought people to help us with it, but we got into it. We modeled our data. We used tools we never heard of before. We used people that helped us. We used people that didn't help us, but we modeled the structure around that. We made sure there was people internally that matched up with people externally, which is one of the biggest issues when you hire consultants to solve your problem, and we put both of those together with executive approval, which was very critical, that our CEO wanted to solve this problem. So we put those two together, and we're able to, develop what was needed, which was a Windows update. Okay, which is what it looked like this. So, and I couldn't believe that we actually won an award for the way this looked, because I didn't think it looked as cool as the other things that we were seeing. However, when we did, and then I asked the guys, what did you see here that made you think this was a pretty dashboard, for instance? And he said it's just the amount, and it was the CEO of Information Builders. He said the amount of content that was on here that was easily consumable with a single view, single glance, is what drove me. And he's a CEO, and he wants to see everything all together. He doesn't want a single glimpse and have to do anything to get into the data. And as you'll find out further on, now that we get more sophisticated, when you're at home, you want Alexa to give you the response quickly. But then once you want any deeper knowledge, how do you get to it? It's just a box that talks. So you need something that you can consume and solves all your problems. And then when you go from here, you can take that into different applications, which I'll show in a little bit. But it had to be interactive as well. So wherever I point, I had to interact with it, and I had to control what got interacted, which is the other issue when you get into more boutique software, that says, okay, we can create these dashboards for you, but when I click right there, can it display something completely unrelated? And that's kind of where a lot of people struggle, or a lot of software struggles. We need software that can say, hey, you can do whatever you want because this is what our consumer wants. So we're able in here to interact with the dashboard and display whatever you want, not just what's technically within the data behind the scenes. So you can go out wherever you want to with the data. And it also has to be drillable. So I have to click and get into the data all the way from the top level to as deep as I want it to. And it has to follow the same scheme. You see a lot of red and green, yellow. So those represent whether they hit their targets or whether they beat last year's sales. And that's represented all the way down to the item level. So that's all stored in our data, and that's all pushed to the consumer here. So they're able to solve that problem as well. And what happened is we took that skin of the entire dashboard and simplified it to create a responsive portal. And as you can see, simplified the data and now took it out to mobile devices. So now we can push the same corporate view that the CEO sees. I can push that all the way down to the single sales rep that's sitting at a store. That sales rep can know how am I performing on my sales with the same numbers that the CEO sees, which was unthinkable before all of this data challenge. And they can also interact with the data, so they can get in, drill, and do different things. So what made us think that we succeeded was, our VP of sales says he had to move his phone charger from his office to next to his bed because every time he woke up, he just looks for that green dot. If that green dot happened for him, he could put it down and go back to sleep for about an hour. Now I'm going to jump into warehousing BI, and then my favorite commercial of all time. Nobody's beat it yet, but this is how it used to be for us. Warehouse, well, what do you do in the warehouse? We lift things up, we put them down. Well, it's a lot different than that. It's really different. Technology in the warehouse, I think, has surpassed any of our expectations. It used to be you buy lettuce and nobody tracked lettuce, but now lettuce is the most tracked item because, it's killed people, right? So it's very critical that we track things, know where things are in the warehouse. So data it's had an explosion over the last few years. Just to show you what our business intelligence looked like in 2010. 2010 is not that long ago. I downloaded that because they were selling rocket launchers in 2010. Okay, this is what our BI looked like in 2010. So we've gone bounds and leaps over with our data. So we had to move all this over to our BI infrastructure. And again, that's why I say it's not just dashboarding. You have to solve the core problem because you give them all these beautiful dashboards, but they're still going back to run this report. You have failed. So what we did was we created, tabular reports that were, formatted to present the data or highlight some of the data. They were presented on any screen that you wanted. So we armed all of our warehouse supervisors with tablets, or they can use their phone to consume this data, to interact with the data, to click into this data. Something to tell them a dispatch is running late, right under the warehouse floor. Nobody has to tell them, or they don't have to realize that after the fact. So real time, again, very important in the warehouse. Then we pushed that same concept. We created all the screens that they used to go back to the green screen we used to call it the mainframe to grab reports. Now we show it to them, and we do predictive stuff. Like this guy's running late, so he's probably you're going to probably run late on this route. So go find out who's running this specific pallet right now and have a conversation with them. So we push the supervisor out of the office, out to the warehouse floor, where they're actually helping productivity in your facility and saving you money as a company. We also developed incentive programs. So we took that same stuff and put it up on TVs to gamify the selection. So you get a platinum star if you're the top selector, and that's near real time because next time they go pick another unit of work, they could help produce raise their numbers a little bit. And we put incentive plans against, so they actually made money off of it. So so now we took consumption from, CEOs used to consume dashboards. Now a selector on my warehouse floor is actually consuming a dashboard. Same thing, warehouse metrics. We threw those up for managers, supervisors, VPs. And, I have my BI developer over there. I'm going to call her out. But she developed a really cool tool for Sarah, let's wait for everybody. um, Again, she's been with us for a little over a year. We brought her in, taught her the tool, which is the great thing about these tools nowadays. It doesn't take much to pick them up. And she developed, a really responsive dashboard, real time for our supervisors. So they take this app and the greatest testament to this was the fact that we talked to our warehouse manager and he said, I don't even go to the green screen anymore. Or can you take this piece of data and put it on this dashboard because this is all I use. And again, it's responsive, so it goes on the iPad, it goes on an iPhone, however you want it. It's available to you. It's running shift times. Am I, doing well on my shift this hour? So we're no longer saying the next day, oh, what happened the day before? Why did we slow down our shipping? Why were these trucks late? You can see it now kind of as it's happening. Hey, I'm running low in that zone. Let me send some more selectors in there. Let me send some more forklifts in there. So after that, now we're going to talk about the warehouse itself. So this is kind of where pie charts and little graphs, became a little bit obsolete for us because a warehouse is difficult to see that way. And again, I pull up supply chain metrics. The top supply chain metrics is warehouse capacity. We were going to add a space. So you saw one facility, you saw a facility across. We filled them both. We're going to fill the third one that we get. It's just capacity is very difficult to attain nowadays. And nobody wants to spend money on, just like servers, if you guys are into IT, you don't want to buy the server that's huge, that can solve so many of your problems, because it costs a lot of money until you grow into it. Same with warehousing. We don't want to buy all the space that we don't have revenue against. So it's very critical that we maximize the use of what we have. So it's also critical to make sure that, we put things where they belong. So what we've dealt with over the last few years, I would say over the last 7-8 years, is the the width of the products that we serve. It used to be just salami, for instance, or turkey pastrami. Now you got to have halal, you have kosher, you have natural, you have organic, gluten-free. I mean, you have so many SKUs coming off of that same SKUs. So our warehouse went from big locations that stored turkey pastrami to now 30 locations that store the fat-free, the gluten-free, all the different variations of turkey pastrami. So we had to adapt quickly to what our warehouse was going to look like. It's no longer big spots, but it's little spots as well. And this further iterates, potato chips not made out of potatoes anymore. So I put up all this product that we do sell, egg white chips, falafel chips. You guys should try these. Really good product. So we built a dashboard. Like, again, let's solve it with a dashboard. So we put it up there, very widely used dashboard. We do see how many SKUs we have. We see how many reserve locations, all that. It solves that need. But what it does is it tells you there's a problem. We're exceeding, or there's too many products in HandStack that don't belong in HandStack. Well, what do I do with that? Now that I saw it, I got to go back and run a report to say which products are in HandStacks. How do I solve that problem? And that kind of brought on new challenges. And just to kind of explain to you what warehouse looks like, what you guys understand, I walked into a convenience store. In the warehouse, it's the same thing. So something that moves a lot, you want to see it right in the middle there in your eye level section. That's where Pepsi products. I grab a lot of that. That should be the easiest to grab and easiest to restock. More specialty products like the Starbucks, it belongs in locations that are harder to get, harder to stock, but because you don't sell as much of them. So we had to develop this view for our warehouse, and the warehouse kind of looks the same way. So, product on the bottom should be heavy, and it should be stuff that you move less of. And as product gets more volume, it goes into the golden zone, what we speak of, something more chest level. Mispicks were also a big issue. When you deliver something, our distribution footprint, which I didn't cover, but we go from Michigan, a single warehouse, all the way down to Florida, all the way down over to Nebraska, all next day delivery. So you order your product and you're in Wisconsin, and you ordered potato chips today by 3 p.m. You'll have your product at your store. So we're again, when we compete with the new age supply chain like Amazon that says I can give you deliveries within an hour. We have to make sure we get those deliveries to our customers as soon as possible. We're business to business. But yeah, we've been doing this next day for many, many years, far before Amazon even thought about getting into distributing food. So these are the attributes that you want to deal with in the warehouse. There's weight, there's movement, the size of cases, where do you locate them, are they hazardous? So that I was browsing the internet and I thought, this looks familiar. I mean, there's locations, even though they're seeds, they're highlighted to tell you different information about them. Why can't I build that dynamically over my warehouse every time my warehouse changes? You know, I don't want it to be just a picture. So I took that, and then I even did some more research, and my favorite player is Stephen Curry. People built that, you know, and put data right on it, and if the data changes, it automatically, you know, repopulates. The size of each box tells you different data versus the location of each of his shots. So that's kind of where we came out with the people we work with, and said, hey, help us. You know, we don't know all this stuff, so help us. And they went out and they came back with a concept of, you know, as you saw the airplane, these are locations in my warehouse. So I highlighted them based on whatever attribute that I want. So the highlighting is not based on a static attribute, because I can draw in and bring in the height of the locations, I can bring in the weight, I can bring in all the attributes that I want in my database and put them out dynamically. And if I go change the warehouse location or slotting, it automatically brings all that data in, dynamic, real time. That's what we want. We don't want stuff that we build and wait on every day. And that's... and I want to click on interact on it, and I want to see like a single slot right there has a big location and 8 locations on top. I want to see what each one is doing. So we were able to consume a lot of that. So then we came back and we tied it back to our dashboard that you guys saw earlier, and enhanced that dashboard with drillable capabilities into the warehouse mapping view, which I thought was, you know, maybe a little bit revolutionary for us. Again, we came from the world of we lift things up and put them down. And did the lights go out, or am I out of time? Okay. So again, same concept. You drill into it, you interact with it in any capacity that you want. Showed in many different ways, and over any different location. You can drill out to a single area of the warehouse, multiple warehouses. You can put all that data together, and now you can consume it. It's not a bar chart, but now I can see where the heavy product moves, where am I running out of locations, all those different attributes that it helped solve for me. And then now we started thinking, well, can we do it with the trucks? You know, these were becoming conceptual, and then I went to a conference and somebody presented sticks and figures in 3D of my work. You know, they took my concept and they said, okay, how can we 3D model that to make it even cooler? And that's when I had a conversation with that person. I'm like, that was really cool. How can I bring that into my world? Is it going to be expensive? Is it going to be difficult? And we had a lot of conversation, and I'll show you later what we did with it. Bringing you guys back to data, I want to kind of explain data in our world. Used to be an ERP system that touched all the different systems, very static. You know, you did data model. It was very simple before, till Internet of Things kind of changed things. So you know, the ERP no longer has your information. And I put up, again, a picture of what people are doing with IoT sensors. It's crazy, but they have an IoT sensor in a diaper, so now you no longer have to sniff the diaper. I could have used that about 8 years ago. But in our facility, it's like this. I mean, it's data is everywhere. We got trucks feeding back data. We got the trailer itself. It can tell us what temperature the product's at as it's rolling down the road. Where is it at? Where is it located? Does the driver have their seatbelt on? Are they off track? Are they braking too hard? Are they leaving the truck running but not in the truck? Truck's not moving. They run e-logs off the trucks. Same with our equipment within the warehouse. So all this data is coming to us. And the problem with all of that, trying to solve it, because all these systems have the data all over the place. Most of it's in the cloud somewhere. So, and then what they come back to you and say, okay, this is our dashboard, you know, use it. And it doesn't solve any, I mean, you want to run 15 dashboards to solve, what's happening in your warehouse. So we didn't think that was a viable solution. So then we went back to our mapping and said, how can we put, that data in our warehouse on this map that we just generated to solve where stuff belongs, and put all this impact data on forklifts. That's kind of where we developed this application, which is built in JavaScript, uses scalar vector graphics, ties back to our BI system, which is critical for us, and again, real time. And I'm going to try to jump into that real quick so I can show you. I have about 10 minutes, so I'm going to run through it real quick. But it is a real application. It's not just a PowerPoint. That's why I want to bring you guys in here. It's a little risky to run live applications, but I wanted to prove the point. But that's how it looks. It looks like Fortnite, right? If anybody plays that game. People really love to interact with data that's more, that looks fairly new age, so to speak. What we did with this data is we were able to come in and analyze all the same stuff that we had before, where if I wanted to see where the weight of the items is distributed in my facility, I can highlight my warehouse that way, interact with it. I can click on any location and get more data on it. And then it came to thinking, like, what else can I do with this? Everybody's talking about machine learning and IoT and all that good stuff. How can we get in that world, And that's when we started looking at, can I real-time display people in my facility? And the technology of locating forklifts and power jacks in the warehouse is not there yet. So we took our warehouse management system data and said, okay, every time somebody scans a location, I know they were there, and I know what time they were there. So we were able to take all that data and put it on this map. And as you can see, I'm sorry, I'm showing a demo here, and nobody's seeing it. And nobody said anything. So how do I get this over to the... Did you see it? Oh. Where is it at? Oh. Okay. There it is. I have two screens, I think, set up in my office. That's probably why I did that. But anyway, so all that stuff I said before, try to remember what I said. But anyway, there it is. It's an application. It's real. It's not a PowerPoint. Man, you guys didn't say anything when I said that. But anyway, so yeah, it's interactive. It's running off my data. It's a little bit hazy, but I can push into, I set up each one of my areas or different warehouses that we have so you can see them. I can go into each building. I can trim it down to see specific zones. The nice thing about it as well, like I was saying, we can analyze here into any attribute that I have in my database that I want to analyze. I can. I was looking at damages there, but I can look at movement. I can see where stuff moves a lot. I can make sure that the heavy products are closer to the exit and not at the beginning of the selection, so we don't crush products as we select them. I can control the scales. But the next best thing is we came in and we said we want to analyze even more than that, and we want to go into, let's see, activity. So that's where it took it to another level, where I can actually show activity that's happening in my warehouse as people are moving around our warehouse and using scanners to feed back the data. And again, this had to be real time. So I had to build my warehouse, and then I had to feed it all this real-time information, which we're able to because it's all tied back into our BI system, our data integration. Everything is involved with this project. So now I can tell you where somebody came from, where they went, how often that location got replenished, where the congestion is at specific times, and even cool stuff we did where we were able to, and I can't animate, where we're able to hit the play button from one time frame to another time frame, and it kind of replays what happened the night before, and we can accumulate or just kind of see it in real time. So what happened in the last 15 minutes in 5-minute increments, or I want to accumulate what happened all night, and then those bars kind of grow, because then it would show you which location got hammered by so many replenishment, then you know the wrong product is over there. So this is stuff that helped us interact with the data and solve a lot of our problems, and this application we use quite frequently today. And actually we're trying to box it up for sales, so I don't know if anybody here is looking at warehousing. Talk to us. that I will promote, right? So again, warehousing technology, it's big. There's Google Glasses. There's people are coming up with new technologies. I'm looking at drones to kind of count our warehouse. Well, when the drone's out there, it's also gathering data. So why not bring that into the same world we looked at, where we're 3D interacting with the data? Why can't I click on it and see the picture that was taken 5 minutes ago by a drone? Augmented reality, it's a reality in the warehouse. It's coming, where, if you see football today, if in the helmet had augmented reality, the guy would know not to throw the pass over there. Well, how does that translate into the warehouse? We can put Google Glasses on a selector, and this is not today's technology, this is tomorrow's technology. But we can put Google Glasses, and it can tell them exactly what to do. It can draw out, intelligence, right, and as they're selecting, as they're doing their work. So again, the goal here is to change our philosophy of analytics in the warehouse, lift things up, put them down, to where we used to be, we're shipping late today, me Hulk mad, to Captain America, says, hey, the team needs help loading because he saw that on the dashboard. Send three Avengers over there to help him out. I will stop here and open for questions if there is any. If not, I'm not going to drop this mic. Don't worry, guys. Any questions?
How long did it take to custom develop that Java animation?
It was less than 6 months. Yeah, but it's an application. I can use it for all kinds of different things.
What do you think your biggest benefit was around creating the interactive distribution?
Real-time knowledge of where problems were. So we were able to visualize and actually being able to get to that location because I visually saw it on a map. So when people visually see things versus I showed you a bar chart where things are wrong, they're not going to go against that. Again, same with movement. Like if I send you an Excel file we sell 30,000 SKUs. If I send you an Excel file, even you can sort it till however you want, but people are only going to go through 10 rows of it. This one kind of put it all together.
You guys got into any location analytics yet? Mapping?
Mapping, we do. Yeah, we have a little bit of mapping. I'm trying to solve a lot of mapping problems. That's what Sarah's here for, my BI developer, so she's got a lot of work to do.
What's your method to get the real-time data from your source systems?
I hit the transaction file directly. Warehouse data, the difference between that and everybody kind of thinks we're crazy, but we go against the transaction because it's small data and it disappears. Like once a move is completed, it's gone. So we're capturing real-time data as it's happening. It's in the file. Those files are really small, so why not go against them immediately? So all I have to do is hit the refresh button and I get new data. Not to run this, no warehouse. No. Now we do have some tables that keep some of that information, but no warehouse. Absolutely no warehouse. And I think warehouse is just a lot of overhead for this.
You talked about gathering data from lots of different sources, getting into your analytics system,
Yeah.
Keeping that analytics data in sync with the sources, and transforming it for meaningful use. How are you doing all that upfront kind of heavy lifting data engineering work?
With all these different tools, we use their services to create an API, bring the data into our world, and then we just use our BI tool to create buckets of data all over our system that we consume against it. Same scenario, there's not a lot of data, so there's no reason for me to go model it and spend all the money modeling it when I can just, as it's coming in, it's just small snippets of data. So this is where the warehouse was at that specific, the forklift was at that specific time. Let me get that information. It's probably not even 5,000 rows for the entire shift. Why go through the entire exercise of fully modeling it and doing the data warehouse behind it? But yes, most of it is created through APIs, bringing it into our BI system, into our BI world. 1 minute, I guess session's over. Thank you guys, really appreciate it.